The low, sophisticated lighting of the gallery event was supposed to be inspiring. But for Doris Thomas, the light just felt harsh and exposing. Her body was rigid with a cold, sharp pain in her chest, the pain of absolute betrayal. A frantic drum beat beneath the cool, smooth jazz in her ears as she finally spotted them. Tucked behind a large marble pillar was her boyfriend of 3 years, Victor Stone, his attention fully absorbed by a colleague he had sworn was just a friend. His hand was on her arm, his head close to hers. It was a final, brutal confirmation. The pain instantly curdled into a white-hot rage. Doris didn't cry or scream. She walked toward them, her movements stiff, her vision narrowed until they were the only 2 people in the room. "Victor," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. He looked up, his initial flicker of panic instantly replaced by annoyance. "Doris, what are you doing here? Look, let's not make a scene." "A scene?" she repeated, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. "You're cheating on me in public in front of half your board members, and you're worried about me making a scene?" He stood up, his expression hardening into something cruel. "All right, you want the truth? What did you expect? I need someone who's on my level, someone exciting. You're comfortable, Doris. You're predictable." The public humiliation was a physical blow. He hadn't just broken her heart, he had dismissed her worth. A desperate, reckless idea exploded in her mind. She wasn't going to leave defeated. She was going to leave a scar on his massive ego. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on a man standing near the exit, waiting for his valet. It was John Townsend. He was tall, dark, and impossibly handsome, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than her annual salary. He exuded a quiet, intimidating power and an air of absolute wealth. He was without a doubt the most formidable man in the room. Perfect. In a move fueled by pure, unadulterated impulse, Doris turned her back on Victor. She marched straight to John, who looked up, a flicker of surprise in his cool gray eyes as she approached. She didn't say a word about the event. "Mr. Townsend, my ride has suddenly fallen through. Given the weather, would you mind offering me a ride home?" John's gaze locked onto hers. He saw the fire in her eyes, the tremor in her hand, and the dramatic stage she had just set. He gave a controlled, possessive smirk. "Get in," he simply stated. Doris turned back and fixed her gaze on Victor, whose jaw was hanging open in stunned disbelief as he watched her walk away with the stranger. "Turns out, Victor, my ambition just earned me an upgrade." She walked out of the event on the arm of the mysterious, wealthy stranger, completely unaware that she had just accepted a ride from her new billionaire boss. Monday morning arrived with the crispness of new beginnings. Doris stood in her modest apartment, adjusting her navy blazer, trying to calm the nervous energy coursing through her. Today was her first day at Sterling and Associates, the marketing firm she'd been thrilled to join fresh out of graduate school. The company had been acquired over the weekend, but HR assured everyone their positions were secure. She arrived at the sleek downtown office 20 minutes early. The lobby had been renovated, new marble floors, a massive digital display announcing Townsend Enterprises welcomes you, and security that looked more like Secret Service than guards. Doris's stomach dropped. Townsend? As in John Townsend? As in the stranger from Friday night? The elevator opened on the main floor where all staff had been summoned. The conference room buzzed with anxious speculation. Doris found a seat in the back, trying to disappear. The lights dimmed. John Townsend walked in. He was even more imposing in daylight. His presence commanded immediate silence. When his gaze swept the room and landed on Doris, it stopped. Recognition flickered, followed by what might have been amusement. "Good morning. I'm John Townsend, your new CEO. I don't believe in lengthy introductions or corporate platitudes. You're talented. I acquire companies with untapped potential. Together, we'll triple revenue in 18 months. He clicked to the next slide, his eyes drifting back to Doris. "I also believe in accountability. I know every employee's background, including the person in the back row who has exceptional credentials but makes spectacularly impulsive personal decisions." Every head turned. "Miss Thomas," John said, his tone sharp. "My office, after this meeting. If you can't stand people who publicly humiliate others for their own entertainment, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Type 'Nobody deserves that,' because what happened next only got worse." Doris sat across from John's massive desk, hands clenched. His office occupied the entire top floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic city view. It was designed to intimidate, and it was working. "Do you know why you're here?" John asked, leaning back. "To be fired for inappropriate conduct?" A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "No, you displayed something I rarely see. Audacity. Reckless, career-destroying audacity, but audacity nonetheless. The question is whether that makes you an asset or a liability." He walked to the window. "I researched you this weekend, Miss Thomas. Top of your class, published thesis on consumer behavioral psychology. You're overqualified for your position. Yet you were content, hiding in an entry-level role, dating a mediocre finance manager who treated you like an accessory." Doris's jaw tightened. "I wasn't hiding. I was starting my career." "You were playing it safe," he corrected. "But Friday night, you took a risk. A stupid, spectacular risk. It tells me you have instincts buried under caution and bad relationship choices." He slid a folder across. "I'm making you my personal strategy assistant. You'll work directly with me on high-stakes projects, access to information most executives don't see. Every major meeting, every negotiation, every decision that matters." "Why?" "Because I want to see if your audacity was a one-time explosion or if there's fire under all that careful professionalism. I don't trust people who play it safe. Safe people build safe companies. I don't do safe." Inside the folder was a contract offering 3 times her salary and projects that made her heart race with terror and exhilaration. "When do I start?" she asked quietly. "You already have. Welcome to the deep end, Miss Thomas." The first project was designed to break her. 2 departments, sales and creative, had been at war for 6 months. Revenue was down 18% because they couldn't execute campaigns without sabotaging each other. You have 1 week to propose a restructure that gets both departments functional and a pilot campaign that proves it works," John said, sliding a timeline across. "Present it to me next Monday." "That's impossible." "Then I hired the wrong person." He walked out. For 6 days, Doris barely slept. She interviewed 23 staff members, analyzed 3 years of data, and discovered the root wasn't philosophical. It was structural. The commission system pitted departments against each other, rewarding individual wins over collaboration. She redesigned the entire incentive structure, created a hybrid team model, and developed a campaign requiring both departments to contribute equally. Sunday night, she had 70 slides and hands shaking from exhaustion. Monday morning, she delivered her pitch. John listened without interruption, expression unreadable. When she finished, he walked to the window in silence. "You eliminated the competitive commission structure entirely." "Yes." "That's radical. It could backfire spectacularly." "It could," Doris agreed. "But the current system is already failing. This gives shared ownership and success metrics. They win together or fail together." John turned, and she saw something that might have been respect. "Implement it. Full authority to restructure both departments. If it fails, it's on you. If it succeeds, you just solved what 3 consultants couldn't." She was starting to meet his impossible standards. The restructure was working. After 2 weeks of collaborative campaign, they saw a 22% increase in engagement. Doris was starting to feel confident. Then, Victor showed up. She was in the lobby reviewing reports when she heard his voice. "Doris, we need to talk." Victor stood at the security desk, arguing with the guard. He looked terrible. Wrinkled shirt, shadows under his eyes. "Sir, if you're not on the visitors list, I can't let you up," the guard said. "I'm her boyfriend," Victor insisted. "Tell them, Doris." Every employee turned to stare. Doris walked toward them, voice low and furious. "Ex-boyfriend, you're not welcome here." Victor's expression twisted. "Of course, now that you're playing personal assistant to the billionaire, you think you're too good for me. Everyone knows why you got promoted, Doris. We all know what you're doing to earn your salary." The insinuation hung like poison. Doris felt colleagues staring, whispers rippling through the lobby. "Get out now." "Oh, I'll go. But everyone should know the truth about ambitious little Doris. Ask her about the gallery. Ask her about the car ride home." If you believe integrity matters more than petty revenge, hit that subscribe button. People like Victor won't. And you need to hear what she did about it. Before Doris could respond, a commanding voice cut through the lobby. "Mr. Stone." John Townsend stood at the elevator, expression colder than Doris had ever seen. He walked forward with measured pace. "I'm John Townsend, CEO of this company. You have concerns about Miss Thomas's employment." Victor stepped back. "I'm just trying to talk to my girlfriend." "Ex-girlfriend," I heard her clarify. "Let me clarify something for you. Miss Thomas earned her position through exceptional work that solved a problem costing this company millions. She reports to me because she's the most competent strategist on my staff. If you're suggesting otherwise, you're committing slander." John stepped closer, somehow making Victor look small. I have an entire legal team that handles defamation. They're very effective, very expensive, and I'm petty enough to use them. So I'll ask once, do you have any other observations about Miss Thomas? Victor's face drained of color. No, no, sir. Excellent. Security will escort you out. If you return, you'll be arrested for trespassing. John turned to Doris. Miss Thomas, my office. Campaign review in 20 minutes. As Victor was escorted out, and Doris followed John to the elevator, something shifted in her chest. He hadn't just defended her. He demolished the man who humiliated her. For the first time since the gallery, she didn't feel like she was drowning. The flight to London was supposed to be routine. John had an acquisition to finalize. Doris was assessing branding integration. They'd worked together for 6 weeks now, maintaining perfect professionalism. But something was different on this trip. An hour into the flight, John closed his laptop and stared out the window in silence. Doris had learned to read his moods. The tight jaw meant he was processing something difficult. "Are you all right?" she asked quietly. "I'm fine." "You're a terrible liar for someone who negotiates billion-dollar deals." That earned a glance. Observant. "It's my job to read people. You've been distracted since this morning. Did something go wrong?" John was silent. Then, unexpectedly, "Today's date is significant. 5 years ago, I lost my younger sister in a car accident. She was 23, brilliant, reckless. She reminded me of someone." Doris's chest tightened. "I'm sorry." "She was texting me when it happened, asking me to come to some gallery event for networking. I said I was too busy. She died on her way home from that event." Understanding crashed over Doris. "The gallery where we met?" "Was the same foundation's annual benefit." John finished. "I go every year now. I don't enjoy it, but I go." Doris reached across and placed her hand over his. First time she'd voluntarily touched him outside professional handshakes. She'd be proud for showing up, for honoring her. John looked at their hands, then her face. Something cracked in his expression. The distance, the armor, the facade. "I built this empire because I couldn't save her. Every company I acquire, every job I create, every person I push to be better, it's because I failed the one person that mattered." That's not fair to yourself. You're not responsible. Logically, I know, but logic doesn't help at 3 a.m. The vulnerability was devastating. This wasn't the imposing CEO. This was John, a man carrying grief, trying not to drown. "Your sister got you to that gallery. She's the reason we met. Maybe she's still networking for you." John's laugh was unexpected and genuine. "That sounds exactly like something she'd do." When they landed, something between them had shifted. They weren't just boss and employee anymore. The London deal closed successfully. On the flight home, John pulled out champagne. To strategic instincts and reckless audacity. To impossible deadlines and brutal honesty, Doris countered. They drank until John set his glass down. "I need to tell you something. That night at the gallery, I knew exactly what you were doing. I saw your ex, saw the humiliation, saw you decide to burn everything down. I helped because I recognized that impulse. My sister had it too. He leaned forward. But somewhere between that night and now, my reasons for keeping you close stopped being about her and started being about you. You're brilliant. You challenge me. You care about the work, not the title. I haven't felt this connected to anyone since I lost her. Doris's breath caught. John, I'm not expecting anything. I'm your boss. The power dynamic makes this complicated, but I needed you to know what I feel has nothing to do with that night and everything to do with who you've proven yourself to be. You're right that it's complicated, but you're wrong about one thing. You're not the only one who's developed feelings that have nothing to do with professional respect. The air crackled. John reached across, his hand cupping her face. Tell me to stop. Doris leaned into his touch. I won't. The kiss was inevitable, electric, terrifying. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. This can't happen at the office, John said. Agreed. We keep this private until we figure out what it is. Agreed. But even then, a voice whispered warnings about gossip, reputations, all the ways this could destroy everything she'd built. She ignored it. She chose the risk. They were careful, painfully careful. At the office, perfect professionalism. But 3 nights a week, Doris would arrive at John's penthouse and they'd share dinners and stolen moments. For 6 weeks, it worked. Then the whispers started. Conversations stopping when she entered. Meaningful glances. The marketing director freezing her out. The breaking point came during a department presentation when phones buzzed throughout the room. Half the audience looked at screens with expressions ranging from shock to delight. After the meeting, her assistant pulled her aside. Doris, you need to see this. An anonymous email thread forwarded through every department. Subject, how to get ahead at Townsend Enterprises. It detailed her relationship with John, twisted into something ugly. The gallery event, the car ride, the convenient promotion. It questioned every achievement, attributing them to sleeping with the CEO. Doris walked directly to John's office. He read it, expression darkening. I'll find who sent this. I'll fire them. I'll sue. You'll make it worse, Doris interrupted. Everyone will say you're protecting me because of our relationship. It'll prove everything they're saying. You earned everything you have here. I know. You know. But they don't. Every project I've led, every strategy, every success, it's all tainted now. Comment integrity over everything if you're Team Doris. The gossip can't win. Now watch what happens when she finally fights back. John tried to reach for her, but Doris stepped back. I can't do this anymore. Don't let them win. You can fight this because you're the CEO. Your reputation isn't on the line. Mine is. Doris's voice broke. If I stay, every person I manage, every client I pitch to, every colleague I work with, they'll never see me as anything but the woman who slept her way to the top. So, what are you saying? I'm saying I quit. The words felt like tearing out her own heart. Effective immediately. I'll finish transitioning my projects this week, but I can't stay here. Not like this. John's face went pale. Doris, I love you, she said, tears finally breaking free. But I love myself more. And I won't let this place destroy what I've built. Not my reputation, not my integrity, not my sense of worthwhile. I'm sorry. She walked out of his office and didn't look back. 3 days later, John called an emergency all-staff meeting. Doris had already cleaned out her desk, already accepted that she'd have to start over somewhere else. But her former assistant texted, "You need to see this." John stood at the front of the packed conference room, his expression carved from stone. "I'm addressing the email that circulated last week regarding Miss Thomas. First, the employee responsible has been identified and terminated. Legal action for defamation is pending." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Second, Ms. Thomas's contributions to this company were extraordinary. She restructured 2 failing departments, increased campaign engagement by 40%, and personally negotiated terms that saved our London acquisition $3 million. She earned every promotion, every project, every achievement. Anyone who suggests otherwise is misinformed and should review the comprehensive documentation HR will provide. He paused, his voice softening. Third, Ms. Thomas and I did develop a personal relationship. That relationship began after she had already proven herself professionally. It was kept private to protect both her career and this company. The failure wasn't hers, it was mine. I failed to protect her reputation. I failed to create a culture where her achievements wouldn't be questioned. That ends now. John looks directly at the camera recording the meeting. Finally, I'm taking a month-long leave of absence effective immediately. The board will assume leadership during my absence. I have personal matters to attend to that take priority over this company. The room erupted. John walked out without another word. If you watched or listened up until this point, comment the country you're watching this from. Represent your country. Doris was standing in her apartment packing boxes when her doorbell rang 2 hours later. She opened it to find John standing there, not in a suit, but in jeans and a sweater, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. "I quit," he said simply. "You took a leave of absence." "I'm not going back. I have competent people who can run the company. What I don't have is you, and that's the only thing that actually matters." Doris's heart hammered. "John, you were right. The power dynamic made everything complicated, so I'm removing myself from it. I'm not your boss anymore. I'm just John, a man who's in love with you and wants the chance to prove that what we have has nothing to do with offices or titles or corporate hierarchies." He stepped closer. "I'm not asking you to come back to the company. I'm asking if you'll give us a chance outside of it, as equals. No power imbalance, no office gossip, just you and me, figuring this out together." Doris looked at the man who'd pushed her, challenged her, defended her, and ultimately chose her over his empire. The man who'd seen her audacity and called it fire. The man who'd cracked open his grief and let her see his wounds. "Just you and me?" she asked. "Just you and me," he confirmed. Doris smiled through tears. "Then yes, absolutely yes." John pulled her into his arms, kissing her with the kind of certainty that comes from choosing someone over everything else. When they finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Your sister would approve," Doris whispered. "Yeah?" John said, his voice rough with emotion. She really would. They stood in her doorway, two people who'd met through reckless impulse and found something real through fire and gossip and impossible odds. The revenge ride had become something neither of them expected, a love story built on audacity, equality, and with courage to choose each other over everything else.